Today's Cowboys report on the eve of the NFL draft is made possible by Roan. We'll tell you all about them and their commuter collection later on in today's show. But you can get 20% off when you use code CHATSPORTS over at roan.com/chatsports. As promised, it is time for my final Dallas Cowboys 7-round mock draft. Was on a bit of a heater a couple years ago, getting the Cowboys first-round pick right several times in a row. The last two times, the guy that I had picked actually went before the Cowboys made it to their selection. Now, if you are excited for the 2024 NFL Draft, which of course we will be live for, then show it by liking today's video right now. The Cowboys need to get this draft right after all. Let's send some good vibes their way. Before we get into the picks, overall thing I want to begin today's show with is a lot of buzz today, including this tweet from Daniel Jeremiah, that there is expectation of teams trading up for an offensive tackle in what is a at least slightly top-heavy class this year. There could very well be a big run on offensive tackles. The names to monitor, including Troy Fatana, who is guard tackle hybrid there, Joe Alt, Taliese Fuaga, J.C. Latham, Olufashanu, Amarius Mims. There is a very real chance that all 6 of those guys are off the board before the Dallas Cowboys are on the clock. That even maybe in the top 20, they are all gone, all selected. And that would then put the Cowboys in a spot they don't want to be in, despite maybe some recent buzz of like, oh, well, maybe they don't want offensive linemen. They want offensive linemen. It's not exactly the Cowboys don't disguise their intentions. Like, that's not something they're good about doing. We all know who I'm probably going to mock to them in round 2, you know? The issue is you aren't really in the position to afford the luxury of trading up. You are light on draft capital with no 4th-round pick, and you have multiple significant needs at other positions. You still want to get a running back. You want to get a linebacker. You want a tackle and probably a center. You desperately need multiple depth pieces on your front 4. You wouldn't mind getting a secondary piece if the board fell the right way. You'd like to get another number 3 receiver. You have 7 picks. The math is simply not mathing from that perspective, and that makes it really tough to justify a trade up, and that's why a trade down might even be a little bit more likely. So when it comes to the first-round pick for the Cowboys in general, will Dallas end up trading that first-rounder? Y for yes, N for no. It is the pinned comment on this video. That ad comes on YouTube. Great. Take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. I don't know if he's going to be here, but I think the Cowboys would be very happy to see Graham Barton available at pick number 24. And maybe a team like Pittsburgh at 20, Seattle at 16, Miami at 21, maybe even a Philadelphia. Maybe they snipe you, or, which I think is a real possibility here, one of those good linemen are left, and a team comes screaming up the board to take them so you cannot, because everyone knows you're looking at offensive linemen. That is something to be aware of. But I think Barton in general, who was a left tackle at Duke, can play guard, can play center. Don't all of those things kind of make him sound like the perfect Cowboys pick? The position flexibility, the athletic ability, solidifying one of your offensive line spots with the best offensive lineman left. I think that makes a lot of sense for Dallas. But where things get tricky, as they have in recent years to an extent, what happens if those guys are gone? And what happens if Barton goes 21 overall? And let's say there's 7 offensive linemen taken in the first 23 picks. Well, then where do you go from there? That's where things get a little bit more uncertain and a little bit more dicey for me. More on that in a moment, but today's show is made possible by Roan. The email closet was due for a radical reinvention, and Roan has stepped up to the challenge with the Roan Commuter Collection. It is the most comfortable, breathable, and truly versatile set of products known to man. They have products for every occasion. We're talking the world's most comfortable pants, dress shirts, quarter zips, polos like I am wearing today, blazers as well. With their signature 4-way stretch fabric, it's breathable, flexible, and works everywhere from your commute to after work drinks to the golf course or just at work itself. They also got Gold Fusion anti-odor technology for more wears between washes, so you'll be feeling and looking fresh and clean all day long. The Commuter Collection gets you through any workday and straight into whatever comes next. Head to roan.com/chatsports and use code chatsports to save 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you go to RHONE.com/chatsports and use code chatsports. I do want to spend more time on the round one pick than some of the other ones because we will do a day two mock draft and targets, etc. If you miss on your top offensive lineman, Tyler Guyton has been a very heavily linked player to the organization. That would not surprise anybody. To our knowledge, though, he's not on their 30 visit list. Significant. Kings, now maybe he is and it wasn't reported. Wouldn't be the first time that's happened. Kingsley Suamataia, I think, actually was on their 30 visit list and has played left tackle. Guyton, at least more left tackle. Guyton's played a handful of snaps there. They brought Jackson Powers-Johnson in for a visit, but he's got medical stuff. How does that check out? Jordan Morgan might be viewed as more of a guard by this team because he has short arms. Patrick Paul, I've seen some round one buzz. I would not like that. That is a not ready to go year one tackle, and I need someone to go year one on the offensive line or whoever I take in that first round. Can't be taking another developmental guy after I did that with Mozzie Smith last year. Other options not on the offensive line, I think they like Chop Robinson. He could be there and maybe the best defensive player on their board. Same goes with Nate Wiggins. They've shown interest in Brian Thomas Jr. I don't know if he's going to be there for them. Darius Robinson was a pre-draft visit. Maybe there's a surprise faller. Latu, medically. An additional wide receiver that they're super high on in a very good class. All of those are options. So I want to hear your prediction. Who do you think the Cowboys will draft in round one this year? Get those votes in for me in the comments section. I feel like round two, maybe they fall in love with the Peyton Wilson and go with the injured linebacker in round two again. But would anyone be surprised if the pick was Jonathon Brooks? Like this feels like one of the more classic Cowboys telegraph picks of, they've shown interest in him. Everyone is linking them. The Vegas over-under is pick 56.5, i.e. like, does Dallas take him or not? Like, it's just, this feels like the inevitable path. Dallas finds their new number one back, and they go with the injured guy in round two, as they always like to do, and they also sit there and say, we got a first-round value in the second round, which they love to do, and we got the best player at a position, which they also love to do. In that scenario, then it feels like round three is, Zimmer gets to have a defensive piece added. And this team is clearly hunting linebackers. They have run on a ton of them in the pre-draft visit process, including Trevin Wallace out of Kentucky, who has showcased some really good athletic ability. I think he needs a little bit more development in terms of the instincts, but he's 90th overall on my board. He's my number 4 linebacker. I doubt the 3 guys ahead of him, which is Edgerrin Cooper, Peyton Wilson, Jr. Colson, sniff the 3rd round unless Wilson really falls because of medicals. He's not going to be there for your 5th round pick, so you kind of got to take the position you want to add a little bit earlier. Round 5, look, these are all just guesses for you and I. It's day 3. Take your best shot. Gabe Hall out of Baylor. This team needs defensive linemen. There's just not enough bodies at this time, at this stage. Like, they have to find a way to get more pieces in the fold at this time, or it's just not going to go well enough from that perspective. They have to find a way to add talent, to add something in there. And Gabe Hall gives them a different body type than what they have as a taller, longer, 6'6" guy. They don't have that type of piece along the defensive line. We will be live for the entire 2024 NFL Draft here on the Cowboys Report. We'll be live a half-ish hour before day 1 begins. It'll be simulcast to start. Then we'll transition into just me for the Cowboys pick, and we can celebrate or melt down together. Do not miss out. Hit that sub button for the best Cowboys draft coverage right now. I've seen Bub Means linked to the Cowboys a couple times. That is the Pitt wide receiver. The production was not great. He never did that much, but there have been some big plays. He brings, by the way, the types of things that I think the Cowboys should strive to find in terms of this wide receiver room, where right now, obviously, CeeDee Lamb is a superstar. So that deal will eventually get done. It's just frustrating that the process continues to be the way the process is. But at 6'1", 212 with a 4'4", 340, this would be one of your faster playmakers at wide receiver. Was a Tennessee corner, then Louisiana Tech receiver, Pitt receiver. I think day 3 developmental piece, perfect. I would not be surprised at all if this team double dipped, not just on the offensive line, real possibility, but at linebacker as well. And Nathaniel Watson fits that mold. This is a very different style of linebacker than Trevin Wallace, right? Trevin Wallace is your athletic. He's going to chase down guys, use his speed to his advantage, can do some coverage stuff. Watson is your throwback thumper linebacker who can also help on special teams. The Cowboys have 4 linebackers on their roster, 3 of whom are probably going to make the roster plus Buddy Johnson. You're going to carry at least 5 or 6. So double dipping or adding 2 or 3, or adding 2 or 3 in undrafted free agency makes a ton of sense. When I was doing the PFF sim, I didn't like the other options on the offensive line. So I'll just make note of Tyler Owens at a Texas Tech here. This would be a John Fossil pick. And I bet he gets one this year. The kickoff rules have changed. I think you would like to have somebody who's super athletic, can fly down on coverage plays, and make tackles. And I think that's what you'd be going for here with Tyler Owens. A lot of special team snaps, 546 at Texas Tech. He pulled his hamstring on his 40, so he didn't get the time for that. But he had a 41-inch vert, which is absurd, a almost beating Byron Jones on the broad jump, and his 10-yard slip before the hamstring was 1.52, which would have been a burning time if he kept that pace there. So this profiles as, hey, this is your special teams stud that you need moving forward. So the Cowboys mock draft then, Graham Barton, Jonathon Brooks, Trevin Wallace, Gabe Hall, Bub Means, Nathaniel Watson, and Tyler Owens. How do you feel about that? Let's say that is how it all pans out. What grade do you give it? A, B, C, D, or F in the comments section for me right now. Couple undrafted free agents I want to mention. You can go back and look at last year's of this, and whether it was a UDFA or a later round pick, we had either 3 or 4 of these that ended up being Cowboys. So good to monitor here. Amani Bailey, Jace McClellan. They brought Tyrese Chambers in, which is kind of a weird pre-draft visit, but want to make note of that one. Giovanni Manu, who's the British Columbia kid who's very raw but developmental. Travis Glover, and then some local guys or guys that have been linked. Andrew Coker, Jordan Miller, I think were Dallas Day guys. They certainly qualify, and they're later round picks, so you have some familiarity there. John Trey Hunter, Mark Perry, Ryan Watts. I do wonder if there's a lot of Big 12 UDFAs. There's going to be a lot of them. You're probably going to have 15, 16, 17 plus this year. But with the Big 12 Pro Day being at the Star, a lot of people got to get a good close look at it. So that's something I think to monitor in the undrafted free agency process. I would anticipate, by the way, the Cowboys spend in terms of guaranteed money up near the top of all teams in that area.